just make sure that it says it's live here. It says live there. And sweet, there. Alrighty. Now 5 watching now. That is cool. Now I'm gonna just have this open and have the chat window over here. Alright. Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my first memorites stream style. Now, I'm sure you're noticing something's a little different about the setup right now. I'm using a different background loop for this because this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know if people have realized this, but when I watched one of the last streams back, I noticed that the background loop doesn't actually do a full loop. And I find that really jarring. It could just be an OCD thing for me, but it really annoys me. Even in my videos, when I'm picking a background loop to use and I see that it doesn't do a full loop, what I usually do there is I just reverse the clip, so it goes in a pattern of forward, backward, forward, backward. But, it's still kind of weird looking. So I picked a different background loop to use here that actually does do a full loop. And what you probably also notice about this new setup here is there's a Discord icon down there, because I created a Discord server last week. The link to it is in the description. It's on my channel too, and it's now one of the defaults in my videos going forward. I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking the time to go back through all of my videos to paste the link there. I'll do it when I have absolutely nothing better to do, or I have some really long background noise material that I can use for that, because that would probably take a while. But anyway, this stream is another one of those, I don't really have any set discussion topics in mind. I just really feel like hanging out because, I just want to chill. I don't really have too much else to do. I normally don't really like streaming on Wednesdays either because, Wednesdays are when the Chris Hansen streams go on. I'll try to end this in time for that. Otherwise, I'll probably just, catch that a little late and, watch that because I do like keeping up with those, especially considering the topic of those streams, of course, that being Davi Vanity, after all this time. It's nice that that's finally actually getting some big coverage. Even though, and I'm sure I'm definitely not alone with this, what I think he's doing right now, I think he's just trying to talk to all of Davi's victims. After he's done with that, I'm sure I'm not alone with this, but I would like him to have an interview with Gianriella, Official GATG, and or Blue Magus. They are the big three of anti-BOTDF YouTubers. They pretty much, led the charge back in the day, and it would be nice to see them on a Hansen stream. And maybe it could happen, I've commented in a number of places that, since Stevie knows him, he could put in the good word. He can vouch for all 3 of them, because he is friends with all 3 of them, so who knows. But yeah, now, let me just see the chat. Tuesday, oh my god. Is that a fucking Mary Spender reference? Speaking of Chris Hansen, your thoughts on how he's been handling things with Onision? I don't really know. I mean, I am interested in where that goes to. I'm skeptical if that situation is entirely botched. I mean, obviously the shit with Vince Nicotra was really shady. I am glad that the dude got fired because he was just kind of a weirdo from the start. And then finding out that he was, filing copyright claims on people and whatnot. It's like, come on, dude. But yeah, I am glad that was dealt with. Hopefully something can come from there, because, I am interested in that. But yeah, it's kind of, I don't know at this point. Davi is still texting, harassing a female even now. I have heard about that. That's fucking... Dude, you'd think that after all this time, maybe you would have thought to yourself, maybe this hasn't really been getting me anywhere. I mean, I'm kind of at rock bottom, living in my fucking parents' basement now. Maybe I should try to get my shit together, but nah, not gonna do that. Tuesday's gray and Wednesday too. Oh my god. Yes. Can't go wrong with the Cure. Do I hate Mondays? I would say I don't know if I hate them, but it's definitely the day that doesn't really feel the nicest. But yeah. Trying to avoid Onision or giving Onion Loser bad good, pretty much. I haven't really been keeping up too much with that outside of hearing whatever Chris Hansen says about him and whatnot. Really, it's, I guess, kind of in limbo at this point. I do know that I guess that the investigation is continuing. That's all I really know. And, other than that, I think the shit is kind of dying down now. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that's my interpretation of what's happening with that at the moment. But yeah. Quarantining for the most part really is meh. Besides going to work and school, I've been watching movies with the family. I've pretty much been cooped up just watching a bunch of videos and thinking of what I would like to binge next, because I'm sure the situation would definitely call for having something to binge. I just haven't really decided on anything yet. Usually I need to be thinking about a show before I decide, you know what, I'm going to start a binge for this show and, go to town with that. But that's kind of where it's at right now as far as that goes. Chris Hansen picking a fight with Ice-T. You're thinking of Chris Taylor Brown from Trapped. That's the thing that was happening also. By the way, if you guys don't know, my friend Atticus the Death Metaler made his own video about Trapped, basically as like a continuation from my video. So if you're interested in how that's going, check his video out. Apparently, shit is still going on with that, such as what Christopher Barker had put there before he deleted the message, or one of the mods deleted it. But yeah, apparently he tried to challenge Ice-T to a fucking fist fight, and it's like, dude, just fucking stop. Just stop. Of all the people to embarrass yourself in front of, I don't think Ice-T is a person you want to embarrass yourself in front of. You're making yourself look worse than you already do, and I think it's time to stop, but if you didn't listen the first time, I doubt you're going to listen now, so he's veering into Lost Cause territory. Hey Shades, hope you're doing great. After seeing Trap's craziness on Twitter, I imagine a Down the Rabbit Hole video on them. I've been seeing that dude's videos in the related tab a lot. I haven't watched any of that guy's videos. I've been seeing them in the recommended a lot. I'm not sure how much I'm wanting to. It's a maybe and whatnot. I mean, it's got to be similar to what Right Opinion and Emp Lemon do, so it's probably up my alley. But it's debatable. I saw Atticus's sequel to your video. Good. You all should watch it, because it is quite good. Ice-T will whoop Trap's ass, probably. If that even happens. Which, honestly, I'm not sure how much I want it to happen, but if it does happen, then yeah. You know, Ice-T pretty much, mops the floor with people. You don't want to get on his bad side, and honestly, you'd think Chris Taylor Brown would know that, considering he does think that Ice-T is a badass actor. You'd think he's probably a badass personality in general, whether you've listened to his solo work or his work with Body Count, you know. you'd think maybe he'd realize, yeah, I think this guy ain't the right dude to pick a fight with, but nah. When are we getting the down a rabbit hole video on MDA? That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. I don't know. I feel like that's too small scale of a situation for like coverage by a bigger YouTuber that does like, story time kind of documentary-ish kind of videos. It would be cool to see. Yeah, Frederick Knudsen, that's the dude's name. I see his name a lot. I see his thumbnails a lot, but yeah. Let me try to catch up. What are you listening to stay sane? I was listening to Iberian Dawn, Re-Evolution, and ordered it online. The most recent additions into my iTunes since the last stream, because I realize I neglected to do that in the last stream because I just wanted to get to the point because it was such a long subject. Who did I add in? Let me scroll back here. Because I do have a good bit in there. That I think I talked about in the last time I did. There's Joe Satriani's new album, which I thought was pretty good. A lot of different styles on each of the tracks. It's an interesting album. I liked it a lot more than What Happens Next. Certainly is a lot more experimental. Probably his most experimental album since Engines of Creation. Some bands I got into Turnover, I got into Touche Amore, got into Title Fight, got into Pianos Become the Teeth. This is also a YouTuber I recently subscribed to, Nick Nocturnal. I got into his content and also checked out his music. Pretty awesome prog metal. Powerwolf I got into. In Virtue I got into. Enter Shikari's new album I listened to. It's pretty awesome. This came as a recommendation from one of my chat mods, who is also one of my admins in the Discord server, my friend Chai Mocha, a rapper actually. Crypt is his name. His album Tales from the Crypt, I checked that out. I like getting into rappers with a sound that I dig, and this guy has it. And finally, Billie Eilish, I officially added into my library, so there's that. Not to have grim thoughts, a man lost his dog at a Dragon Force Symphony X concert. Who am I talking about? Space Metal. I don't know if this is the place to be talking about stuff this personal, but yeah. Me and Space Metal were supposed to go to both Dragon Force and Symphony X together this year, and both of those got postponed because of the quarantine. The Symphony X one, they're saying into 2021, and that's kind of pissing me off. I hope Dragon Force can have it rescheduled to sometime this year. I mean, I honestly don't even care if it's like the very end of the year. I would like to know sooner rather than later. In the long run, do you recommend being an apolitical YouTuber or a political YouTuber to smaller creators? Here's my thing with that. I don't mind political YouTubers, but I feel like the best way to really gauge people is to not really be hardlined on either side. That's why you don't really see me watching too many, far left people or far right people. If you want to talk about political subjects, I really think you got to approach it from sort of a nuanced sort of position, which is what I try to do in my videos. Sure, I put down SJWs. They're fun to make fun of and whatnot. But I don't think that really indicates, me being like far right or even right wing or anything like that. Because you can be on the left and still, have your problems with SJWs and whatnot. I don't have a problem with that kind of content. But anything kind of straying further away from that, you really gotta be careful with that. That's my perspective on that. Trapped Chris thinks he is headstrong and thinks he'll take on anyone until he ends up in the hospital. I'll bet that's what it would take to get him to stop, is for him to literally be injured. R.I.P. Dragon Force dog. He's talking about his own dog right there. Also, Trapped is signed to Warner Records. Are they? Let me go to Wikipedia here. Trapped. It says Warner Brothers at the beginning, but I think that's probably the label they were on when Headstrong was a hit. I doubt they're still with them. It also lists 11/7, Apocal Artists, EMI, and Crash Collide. They gotta be on the smaller of all of these. I doubt they're still with Warner after all this time. I give Madonna props for pissing off religion in her music like a prayer. One of the shittiest record labels. Billie Eilish is pretty good. Do you listen to Lana Del Rey? No. Not really into too folky of stuff. I don't hate her, but that's not really what I listen to. Remember Sensei Shimasu, a.k.a. Sensei Aneurysm, as Stout calls her. The Yes All White People, black supremacist. Yes, unfortunately, I do remember her. And Gazi Kodzo. They are so cringy and obnoxious. And not the kind of people I would really like to be aligned with. But yeah. There's a point in my Alter Bridge video during the portion when I'm talking about Rise Today, when I talk about, like, advocating for social change and whatnot, and I say fighting fire with fire isn't always the best option, and then it cuts to me and I say, you hear that, Black Lives Matter? You hear that, Black Lives Matter? And it shows both her and Gazi, like, up here, and then it shows these cross marks on them, because, yeah, fuck them both. They're terrible. That one dude that Repsion talked about recently reminds me a lot of Truth Hurts Network. He kind of reminds... That person, James Soroka, who... Thrash Metal Guru, he's been doing some live streams about him. He's been kind of involved with that dude on Twitter and, on his streams and whatnot. But yeah, that dude really makes me angry. I'm not sure... He's kind of hard-headed and kind of obnoxious like Truth Hurts Network was. I'm not sure he's committed to the same actions the Truth Hurts Network did. He does remind me a lot of, he has Onision's personality. The only thing he has going for him, I think he, sent nudes to kids. I'm not sure about that. That wasn't exactly, like, brought up in any of the things I watched about him. But, yeah, that guy is a fucking... He's fucking batshit, that guy. Speaking of Truth Hurts Network, his existence has been erased on YouTube and nothing of value was lost. There was an archive channel that was created for his stuff. Does that still exist? The Truth Hurts Archive. Oh my god, is that channel gone? Holy crap. Damn. But yeah, I think literally the only references, I guess, of him are pretty much just the times I've made references to him. But yeah, the only people that remember him are people like me that were around back then, and people that, have, heard of him through me, because I'm kind of the ranting community historian, so to speak. Am I hyped for the new Havoc album? Yes. That is on my list of things that I'm looking forward to. This Friday, we got new albums from Trivium and The Used, and then Havoc is next week, along with new Paris and Boston Manor. But yeah, Havoc I'm definitely looking forward to. I loved their last album, so I'm hoping this one tickles my fancy as well as Conformicide did. James Soroka guy is an asshole. Yeah, that dude. Like, honestly, listening to that guy's voice just makes me angry. Like when I watched Repsion's video, and whenever Justin played clips from him, like, he's the kind of person that you just want to be like, shut the fuck up. Like, shut up. Like, you just want to scream that in his face. That guy just makes me really angry. He's very manipulative, controlling, and just, wow, I feel so bad for Caitlin, his girlfriend. I remember I was watching Justin's stream about him last night, and I suggested in the chat, maybe someone should start a GoFundMe for her, but then someone else in the chat told me that probably wouldn't work, because, she would probably be manipulated into giving the money to him, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. Fuck. An evil Neil Patrick Harris. Wow. Yeah, his voice does kind of remind me of Neil Patrick Harris a little. Difference being, Neil Patrick Harris is cool. He isn't. Hunter Avallone, yeah, he's definitely a good person to compare this dude to. I never liked Hunter Avallone. He always came across to me as, really obnoxious and in people's faces. It's kind of a similar problem people have with Ben Shapiro. Did Spiz and TSA finally tie the knot? Shut up, Mr. Vids. Shut up. Spiz fucked off. TSA I still talk to. He does have a girlfriend now. I haven't heard... The last I heard about Spiztriz was he was trying to start a music career, I think. I was being sent clips of him doing, like, Facebook live streams, and dude does not sound like he's changed at all. Opinions on furries. Two of my very good friends on YouTube are furries, Felix Wolf and Kaz Warfox. They're both buddies of mine. Felix is actually, boxed on my channel, and Kaz is also someone I'm really cool with. I don't have a problem with furries, just as long as, they, keep themselves in check and, aren't, going crazy on people or anything like that. Because I am aware that, the furry community does have that kind of a reputation, but I know not all furries are like that, so I'm not gonna generalize. She literally would have to split up with James, but that would get messy. It would get messy. That's the thing that really aggravates me about these kinds of relationships, is how the victim of the abuse is just trapped between a rock and a hard place, and, she just has no choice but to do nothing. Why is Davi suddenly on the internet radar again? Because Chris Hansen is covering him and having interviews with people that were victims of his, including the individual formerly known as Jesse Slaughter. Definitely check that out. It really puts a lot into perspective and gives some good closure on such an ancient and beloved meme. So yeah, that's why he's being talked about again, and because of that, there are YouTubers making videos about him and all that, and it's like, yeah, it's great that, you know, people are aware of that now, but give credit where credit is due. Like I said, John Riella, Official GATG, and Blue Magus, they were the big three. They were the originators of, making the topic popular to cover back then. So give some credit to them. Ben Shapiro is so punchable, to be honest. You know, there are some times where I admittedly kind of see where he's coming from on something, but it's just his attitude that just kind of turns me off from him. That rant he went on about why he hates rap was really cringy and whatnot. It's like, dude, the fact that you're trying to boil music down to just being melody, harmony, and rhythm, I mean, you're not wrong, but you do realize that that can be applicable to rap too. Rap has all three of those things. That's why I think it's dumb to say that, oh, rap isn't music because there's no instruments. Like, it's fine if you don't like it, but it is, by definition, by all accounts, music. RanterInShades, do you think it's feasible to do YouTube with high-quality external webcam? Sure. I mean, as long as you got points to make, you got a topic on your mind, and you got the drive in you to really, push with your content, anything's really possible. I think Razorfist used to film with, like, a webcam before he got a better camera. I couldn't resist. The last I heard of him was when I was on Hangout with Vlograys and was featured on the Cringe channel. I remember that. That was funny. There was this compilation of just really cringy things that he's said and whatnot. He was also featured on this one, compilation on YouTube. I think it was of, emo fails or something like that. I forget what it was, but it showed, the same clips and whatnot. That was funny. What's your take on dark humor? Well, one of the shows that's tied for being my favorite is South Park. That should tell you a good bit about what my sense of humor is like, because that show is very well known for, having dark humor. There are also some people that I watch that, do have some dark humor. Like, I actually mentioned in the last stream, because his name was on the demonetization list, Rucka Rucka Ali. He's very infamous for very dark humor right there. So I got no problem with dark humor. I do think that there are moments where, yeah, you're kind of going a bit out there, but ultimately that just boils down to just, humor being subjective and all that. Did you know Kanye suffers from bipolar disorder? I think I knew that. Either I found out somewhere or I saw it somewhere. It doesn't really shock me. It kind of makes sense. He's somebody that, has a habit of kind of just, blurting everything that's on his mind out there, for better or worse. It kind of gets him into trouble. I have admittedly become a bit sympathetic to him since the days when I shat on him on my channel and whatnot. I still don't really like him. I'm still not a fan of his music. But as far as, his personality goes, I have warmed up, I guess, to feeling a bit sympathetic about it, but I still think he can be kind of a douche a lot. Oh boy, Jesse Slaughter, I totally remember those haters make me famous videos. What you probably also remember is these phrases. You done goofed. consequences will never be the same. I know who you are because I backtraced it and I forwarded your information to the cyber police and the state police. Rest in peace to him, by the way, because he did die not too long after that. Stout deserves some credit over Davi saying what the others agreed. Exactly. I bet Ben Shapiro had no friends in high school because of the smarmy attitude he has. Probably he's probably the kind of person that tried to debate everybody in his path and just be in everybody's face, and everybody's just like, dude, I don't want to fucking talk about this shit. Excuse me, please stop. Speaking of the right, thoughts on anti-SJWs and hate click culture. I'm not sure what that means. But, you know, I do identify as anti-SJW, just because, you know, SJWs really annoy me. But I'm not the kind of person that's like, you know, kind of ventures into sort of a right-wing rabbit hole as a result of that. I almost felt myself doing that once, but I kind of stopped myself from that and then started to, you know, take a step back from the whole thing. West Coast Emerald. Oh my fucking God. Don't get me fucking started on Danny Corks. He is pretty much the ultimate stereotype of SJWs, libtards, and all that. It's people like him that are the reason why so many people, you know, shit on the left and all that, because of people like him that just go out of their way to strawman anyone they don't like, be moral absolutist about everything, make these terrible, terrible fucking videos where, you know, they don't even really debunk anything and just spew fallacies and whatnot. Because believe me, I have seen a good few of his videos, and they all suffer from those problems. And in the Trapped video, towards the end, when I talk about moral absolutists, I don't know if anybody saw this, but there's this sort of fade-in opacity kind of picture where you see a face. That's him over there. I think I did the same thing in another video. I forget which video, though. I know it was more recent, but yeah. Danny Corks is so fucking cringe and... oh my God. Don't fucking get me started. I love shitting on him, though. Ben Shapiro sounds like the kind of douche who thinks he's better than everyone because I'm a libertarian, but I'm not a reasonable human about it. He's considered libertarian, really? South Park considered Robert Smith as a god angel. It's because he is. You know? If Dave Grohl's Jesus, Robert Smith is like one of his disciples. UTF, there's no shitty rant channel of mine to rebuild. Right. Have you seen the ranting community? It's so cringe nowadays. Yet comes back from retirement a 20,000th time. I did see something like that. Let me look at that real quick. Jesus Christ. All right. So I don't think Mary Dansmas 2 is going to be happening at this point. So what do we see? Coronavirus thoughts from Finland, coronavirus babble. Your toilet paper problems are finished, America. Do I see a pun there? Finish. Haha, get it, because he's from Finland. Doom Eternal and chill. RuneScape, what? Workers deserve better than capitalism in this crisis proves it. Blah, blah, blah. The absurdity of AEW and WWE not shutting down for COVID. Whatever that says. MLB The Show and chill. MLB The Show, Diamond Dynasty. MLB The Show, MLB The Show. Helsinki Park Hour Part 1. 6 days ago. So, that's unfortunate. Unless he purges this stuff, then, yeah, sorry. I don't look like Mary Dansmas 2 is going to be happening, unfortunately. I do still have the script for it, though, on the off chance I do get to do it, but at this rate, nah, don't look like it. Thoughts on Madonna? To me, overrated pop star and has garbage music. I also heard she's a bitch IRL. I never liked her. I never liked her music. To quote South Park, Madonna is an old anorexic whore that wore out her welcome years ago, and now she suddenly speaks with a British accent and thinks she can play guitar and she should go fuck herself. I think that's how the quote goes. Oh, what a surprise. UTF is back from being done with the internet. Yeah. I can't say I didn't see that coming. I really cannot say I didn't see that coming because, like, how many times has he gone through this fucking cycle? Everything is a fucking cycle with him, and that's why he's a lost cause to all of us. That's why pretty much everyone here is pretty much done dealing with him at this point because even if he, like, apologizes to people and be like, yeah, I'm sorry I was a douche to you or whatever, he'll go back on it and just be pissed off at everybody again. We've seen that happen countless fucking times. He's gonna do it again after quarantine is done. Do you follow Cover Killer Nation or is he forgotten about? A common thing I like saying about him is that he is my YouTube daddy because he is somebody that was one of my influences. He is somebody that I've become pretty friendly with over the years. He is done making videos. He retired making videos. He has flirted with the idea of still doing streams on his channel, which I'd be interested in. But, you know, I do still talk with him on Facebook sometimes. But that's how things are with him. At least, yeah. Scene geography now, don't know what that is. Shives is the poster boy for these kinds of things. Yeah, Shives and Corks they're basically the same person, basically. It was the best thing I could come up with. Cut me some slack. Sorry, I have like a 30-second delay. No worries. Have you heard of the Fandom Menace? If so, thoughts? They come off as whiners to me. Funnily enough, Space Metal on Facebook, he posts about them a good bit. I'm not really into Star Wars that much, you know, but, you know, it doesn't really shock me. I've always known that the Star Wars fan base is kind of out there, and like a lot of fan bases, they can be like obnoxious and in people's faces about it and whatnot. So it doesn't really shock me. He's not affiliated with the Star Wars fan base, but yeah, they're like the worst fan base ever. That's my impression of them. They come off as very similar to the metal elitists. I've heard when Britney Spears suffered her mental issues, Madonna just abandoned her and said, you should have listened to me, making her a terrible friend too. Really? Wow. Honestly. I had no idea anything like that even happened. Because I don't really pay attention to Britney Spears either. Because they're basically kind of the same kind of artist. And UTF wonders why he never gets views. He also wonders why people don't really respect him. Because this is how he treats everybody. He goes through this cycle constantly. And honestly, I think most people have kind of, you know, seen enough from him because he never fucking learns anything and never actually makes an effort to change anything, like, at all. And honestly, while a part of me wants to feel sorry for him for that, I honestly can't at this point. because he's inconsiderate. The Phantom Menace is literally the same thing as Metallica with a different name. The Last Jedi in this stance is the A7X level of controversy to those said clowns. I actually still haven't gotten around to watching most of the Star Wars movies. I have heard not wonderful things about The Last Jedi. What I'm preparing to feel is, I'll see it just so I can, be up to date with the story, but I kind of have low expectations. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Don't you mean AEW Freak? No, he changed his name back to Undertaker Freak 1127. As he does, because that is another fucking cycle. He'll change his name to something like Undertaker Finland 1127, AEW Freak 1127, and then just change back. Thoughts on Celine Dion? I've heard she's really nice to anyone and never tries hard to impress as a singer. She's better than Madonna. I do like her music a bit better, but I wouldn't really say I'm super into it and whatnot. She does have a pretty nice voice, I do like the Beauty and the Beast duet between her and Pablo Bryson. Pablo Bryson, I actually really, really love. He has such a great voice. If you hate Celine Dion, Mariah Carey I don't actually listen to either. I have heard, bits and pieces of her music. She doesn't have a bad voice. I do think she's kind of overrated, though. I'm more of a Star Trek fan personally, but my God, the Star Wars fandom, at least the crazy ones, need to calm down. Lots of people need to calm down. Hello, Shades. Fan for about a year now. Sweet. Lol, what a joke. What are you referring to there? Are you referring to UTF, or are you referring to the Star Wars fans, or are you referring to Madonna or whatever? But yeah, how many people does it say are watching now? 9? All right. Thoughts on how the bad guys in Trolls World Tour are rock-themed trolls that want to erase the world of music other than rock? That sounds like the plot of Frozen 2, Just the Trolls. Literally, that's what it sounds like. But no, in all honesty, I have no idea what that is. Thoughts on Firehouse? Thoughts on Firehouse? Do you know who you're talking to? Well, Firehouse does my favorite love song and power ballad of all time, which is When I Look Into Your Eyes. I love their sound. I think Bill Laverty is a very good guitar player. CJ Snare is a pretty good singer. I met Firehouse, actually. On my wall over there is a ticket stub that I had the 4 of them sign when I met them. And how I met them, I talked about this in one of my unboxing videos. It was as a result of Stevie Rochelle, the vocalist of Tough, if anybody knows them. He contacted my page after seeing some of my glam-oriented videos, and then when we were talking about Firehouse, he then tells me, I already had a ticket that I was going to be, going up to New Hampshire to see them live at this bar and whatnot. He then tells me he messaged CJ Snare about adding me to the VIP list And so that's how I got to meet Firehouse. That was a pretty excellent night. I'm at UTF when you said that. Okay, figured. Did little to keep my interest. Am I the only one that thinks having Panic at the Disco for Frozen 2 soundtrack was kind of dumb? I don't know. I do like Brendan Urie as a vocalist. I I don't know. I kind of like it. If we see it on the year-end chart, you're probably going to be seeing that in Best Songs. Yeah, I've never watched the Trolls franchise. I only know of it because of in Best Songs of 2016 when I talked about Can't Stop the Feelin' by Justin Timberlake, and that was like the big song from that soundtrack and whatnot. That's the only reason I know about it. I wouldn't call them Star Wars fans, considering they're probably the ones who harassed poor George Lucas. I'm surprised, but at the same time not really surprised at that. Like, come on, guys. Hasn't George Lucas done so much for you guys? Shades, we all know you love Frozen. Yeah, I do like both of them. I think they're fine movies. Obviously, you know, they have their flaws and whatnot. They're by no means perfect. But yeah, I do find both Frozen and Frozen 2 enjoyable. I will say I like the songs in Frozen 2 a bit more than the first one. They're a bit more they have a bit more of a bonkers factor than the ones in the first movie, but that doesn't, that's no slight against the songs in the first one, because they're fine for what they are. Most of them, anyway. The fucking Trolls song I can definitely do without, and the song that Olaf sings in the summer, I don't think that really needed to be there. If Disney does a metal-themed movie, how would it work? To me, with Vikings, because they go with heavy metal like mac and cheese. That does sound like the one thing I can see Disney having a metal kind of flair to. If not that, then probably, a movie about a band, or about, something kind of on the violent edge, like, like something involving like trucks or something like that. But Vikings, definitely, that would make for, at the very least, an interesting Disney movie or Pixar movie. But yeah, there are horrendous fans in every fan base of everything, although some are worse than others. Exactly. That's kind of the reason why I don't really identify as being a part of any fandom or anything like that, is because I know that that's how they tend to be. And I'd rather just be kind of an independent consumer than part of a fan base or anything like that. The only exception to that is like identifying as being a part of the ranting community, but that's something I choose to do, not something I feel like I have to do. When it comes to Frozen, you kind of remind me of a male Anna. Aw. Really? I don't know how to feel about that. Thoughts on the MCU? I'm not a comic book superhero fan, so I've not seen any of those and don't really have much of an interest in it. Worst Disney movie in your opinion? I don't know, because I haven't really seen every single one of them. Trying to think of some of the bad ones that I've seen, or at the very least have heard of. The worst I've seen would probably be Chicken Little. But I'm sure there might be something worse than that. Maybe not. But that's the worst Disney movie that I've seen. I think Disney should make a Frozen TV show. That would just be milking it, I think. I don't know. You know they probably would. It's the kind of thing that that Disney would milk the shit out of because they know that, you know, a lot of like parents would give them so much money and whatnot, because we've seen that happen with all the merchandise and all that. I don't know. It's something that you probably know has the potential to happen, but you just don't want to see happen because of how inevitable it sounds. Disney, we all know you're cashing in on the community. Can you do a Blue Magus impression? Let me see if I can try. Greetings, my friends. 'Tis I, your host, the mighty Blue Magus. That's like the best I can do for that. I probably have to pitch my voice up a little bit. Generally, I'm not hardlined against Disney, but absolutely Chicken Little. But yeah. Disney was already milking the shit out of Star Wars, and we saw how well that went over. They'll milk the shit out of anything they can, because Disney's the kind of company that makes everything as profitable as they can, because that's kind of a prerequisite. It needs to be profitable, marketable, and whatnot, because, you know, once everything goes well, then they will milk that and make even more money and all that. It's the one thing it's one of the main things I really don't like about Disney as a company, because they're basically like the cow farmers of the entertainment industry. They just milk everything. Am I the only one who fucking hates Minions in the studio they're a part of? No, you are not. Minions is the butt of so many jokes on YouTube and whatnot. I hate everything. There's never a moment where he won't shit on Minions. But yeah, that's another thing that got milked. Not by Disney, but just in general. Thoughts on Gabriel Iglesias? Not really a fan. Kind of meh. Thoughts on Hailstorm? They're alright. Not a bad hard rock, alternative metal band. I do think that Lizzie Hale tends to get kind of over-glorified, I guess, because, you know, she's like one of the few people that people tend to think of when they think of, you know, females in metal. That's my only problem with Hailstorm, but it's not really a musical problem, but yeah. I just realized my speakers weren't plugged in. Illumination Entertainment, that's the name of the company, is such a soulless animation studio, like Trapped their one-hit wonder with Despicable Me. Right. Pretty much. Though, hold on. Wasn't this from Illumination? Oh, it's DreamWorks. Never mind. My favorite Disney movie is Aristocats. Wow, funny. I'm wearing my Aristocrats shirt. The band the thing I always confuse with each other. And I think it's better than Lion King. Those are some big words right there, my friend. Aristocats is really underrated. I remember talking about that movie in another stream when we were talking about Disney movies. Really underrated. Deserves more love. But yeah, loved it as a kid. Still enjoy it now. The scene with the dogs chasing Edgar is still amazing. Nita Strauss, there's no E in her name. She's great. She is one of my favorite female guitarists. Probably my second favorite after Orianthe. The Maleficent films and Oz the Great and Powerful are the only films in the remake department I like because they're different. Maleficent I thought was okay. Oz the Great and Powerful I have not seen. My favorite Disney movie that everyone doesn't care for is A Bug's Life. That's Pixar. That's another underrated one. Another one that I loved the fuck out of when I was a kid. In fact, it's my favorite Pixar film. Not even a troll comment. Yeah. Definitely deserves more love. I remember thinking there was going to be A Bug's Life 2 at one point when I was a kid, but I think that just, didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But yeah. Loved Aristocats and Snow White, Cinderella, or Fantasia. I did not even notice the shirt until now. Don Bluth trumps Disney. But if I have an animation studio I rank as the worst, is tied between those terrible those animated Titanic movies. No idea those existed, but any of those animated ripoffs that I Hate Everything did videos on, those are probably the objective worst. Thoughts on Arch Enemy? I like the Gasso era. Pretty much the only albums I listen to from Arch Enemy are... Let me bring this up. We got Wages of Sin, Anthems of Rebellion, Doomsday Machine, and Rise of the Tyrant. Those are the only albums I really care for from Arch Enemy. The scales and arpeggios scenes animation is still beautiful to this day. Did I forget to mention that Aristocats was a 70s movie? It was a 70s movie. You can kind of tell it's kind of early on and whatnot. It doesn't have a lot of the flash that you see in the Renaissance era stuff. I feel like Precious Metal was worth discovering. Oh my god, someone else who knows Precious Metal. Wow. Yeah, Precious Metal was one of a few all-female metal bands in the 80s. Who else did you have? You had Vixen, of course. You had Phantom Blue. You had Precious Metal. You had Girl School. You had Rock Goddess. You had Poison Dollies. Those are all the ones that I can think of. Of all the sequels pumped out, they should get one. Yeah, Bug's Life definitely should. You'd think with all the nostalgia, it would be kind of right up their alley, but, but I suppose, I don't know, maybe it wasn't as marketable. I remember it being pretty marketable back in the day. Do you consider Living Colour a one-hit wonder with Cult of Personality? Yes and no. I can understand how they might be grouped in as being one, but I would argue that, they did have other hits. Cult of Personality is just the one that they're best known for. What are your thoughts on Titanic? I've only seen it once. I thought it was good. I liked it. That's the most I can really say about it. It's long. There's that too. Does a comment that I left on a previous video of yours about ranking every song for your favorite album? Yeah, that is a video that I am wanting to make. I have no idea when, though. Right now, as far as videos go, I'm at that sort of point where I have a number of ideas, but I have no idea what I want, which one of them I want to sit down and start a script for. That video is one of them. But yeah. Fun fact about Aristocats, it was the last Disney approved by Disney himself before he passed. I think I remember hearing about that. I love both Heirs of Arch Enemy, War Eternal, got me into them. Oliver and Company, that's another movie I remember talking about in the other stream where we talked about Disney movies. Another one that I find to be underappreciated. Billy Joel did such an excellent job voicing Dodger in that movie. Fucking Why Should I Worry is such a jam. No idea what you guys are talking about now in the chat. Are you a Megadeth fan? Yes. Early Megadeth, along with Havoc, is like my favorite in thrash metal. I don't really keep up with newer Megadeth, but, you know, you cannot go wrong with albums like Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction. Yeah. I was thinking about something else about... Oh, yeah. I've seen Megadeth live twice. The first one of which was for the 20-year anniversary of Rust in Peace. They were co-headlining with Slayer, who were touring for the 20th anniversary of Seasons in the Abyss. This was in 2010. And the second time I saw Megadeth was a year later, in 2011, when they were on the main stage for my first time going to Mayhem Fest. James Cameron directed Titanic. Since we mentioned A Bug's Life, I gotta ask, which side are you on, Team Ants or Team Bug's Life? I've never seen Ants, so Bug's Life. Like, a lot of I haven't seen a lot of, like, 90s DreamWorks. I keep telling myself I should. Because lots of people say how great movies like Road to El Dorado and Prince of Egypt are, and I kind of want to sit down and check both of them out. I just have not done so. Favorite Megadeth guitarist that isn't Dave Mustaine? Well, if what I said here is anything to go by, you could probably infer that my favorite is Marty Friedman. Remember how Another One Bites the Dust apparently condones if you listen to it backwards? Yes, I remember that conspiracy theory. I knew about that conspiracy theory for a long time. My first time hearing about it was from Muse, actually, when I watched a series that he used to have called The Truth Behind Hip-Hop, which is basically a commentary series on this televangelist preacher by the name of G. Craig Lewis, and talking about how hip-hop is evil and whatnot. And he mentioned Another One Bites the Dust and how there's a subliminal message backwards, and he looks up the clip of it and you hear it say, "It's fun to smoke marijuana." Fucking weird. I saw Megadeth along with... You went to that fucking Yankee Stadium show. Oh my god. Fuck you. I really wanted to go to that. I really wanted to. I wanted to make a trip to New York, but nah. But yeah. Thankfully, at this point, I have actually seen all of the big four, just not together. Slayer and Megadeth I mentioned when I saw them. Anthrax I saw in 2013 when they were headlining the Metal Alliance tour. And Metallica I saw in 2017 when they were doing the Hardwired to Self-Destruct tour. This is when me and Space Metal met in person for the first time. So that's My Adventures of Seeing the Big Four. Backwards masking tends to be a hilarious myth. Priest did nothing wrong. Yeah, they were another band that was caught up in that whole thing. Number of others, too. What cars are better? American, European, Japanese, or Korean? I have no idea. I'm not really a car person. COVID-19 better not cancel out my Megadeth concert. I hope it doesn't. I think you're seeing them in like June, I want to say. I haven't been hearing about anything in June getting postponed. But yeah, I hope you get to see them too. Ants was late 90s, right, because, you know, that movie and Bug's Life were, like, at the same time, pretty much. How does Marty Friedman not have a broken wrist with his pick in hand? Let me tell you a little story about my relationship to Marty Friedman. I remember my first time playing Guitar Hero 2 on Expert. Hangar 18 is in the final tier. And I was having the hardest time beating that song. And I remember literally like saying out loud, "Fuck Marty Friedman! Fuck him for being so fucking good at writing shit as fucking otherworldly as this, that I can't fucking beat it here." Who rocks the androgynous look better, David Bowie or Michael Jackson? David Bowie, I'd say, has the better image. Michael Jackson, I would say, has the better music and better stage moves. Ever seen the Paranoia scare film Rock, It's Your Decision, or Hell's Bells, Dangers of Rock and Roll? Nope. Haven't seen either of those. Not sure I'm wanting to. If what you mean by paranoia scare films is anything to go by, they're probably some fucking religious propaganda bullshit. Hey, you met me at Gillette at least? Yeah. That is where we met. I live here in NYC, so yeah, I had to beg to go since it was on a Wednesday, and I was still in high school at the time too, and yeah, that would not have been a good time for me to make a trip to New York, as much as I would have really liked to. Metallica needs to go on tour again. They're so lazy when it comes to touring in America. Yeah, they are pretty spread out with, you know, touring. And it was for that reason, actually, that I jumped on the 2017 tour when I did, because I knew that it would probably be years and years before they go back on tour again, you know. Thoughts on In This Moment and New Year's Day? In This Moment, I like, you know, a few of their albums. They're not really a band I keep up with much nowadays. New Year's Day, I'm not into. Metallica was my first ever concert in 2009 at Madison Square Garden. Wow. Have you investigated Zamrock at all? Don't know what that is. Have you read the ABCs of Metallica? The cringe is over 9,000. Is this something I can look up online? Maybe I can react to it here. I sucked at Guitar Hero 2 on Medium. It took me until GH3 to try Expert. You're an expert player. The last I played Guitar Hero, I think I was on hard. Remember that cringy Davi Vanity video that consists of him compiling random clips of when he went to Houston and the 40-year-old scene kid singing like Kermit? I don't think so. In 2024 they will make an album. Is that confirmed, or are you speculating? It's stupid, and it's exactly what I meant. An actual quote said by a character in Rocket's Your Decision in the context of a sermon. Do you think I'm sexy? Jeff, the main character. Zambian rock scene, 70s, only just discover it. But yeah, I'm thinking of going to a webpage over here. ABCs of Metallica. Oh, this is an actual book. A book for children and fans alike. Already, I'm getting a good impression from this. But yeah, I was thinking that I could look at it here, but whatever. Speculation. Wouldn't shock me if, that was how long it took for them to put something new out. Through Google Images, that's how I read it. Okay, let me try that again. Go back to... Let me open the tab back up. Then go to web page. Then images. C is for Cliff, the major rager, they would say. So mesmerizing to watch every time he'd play. Dressed in denim from head to toe, often with a Misfits tee, and a wild mane of red hair flying around for all to see. He played his bass like a master. His music was a gift to all. Among the greatest musicians in history, Cliff Burton will forever stand tall. What the... G is for Garage Days, Metallica's humblest time, practicing for hours and hours to make sure their act would shine. They started playing songs by British bands and American ones, certainly. There were even two from Ireland, Sweet Savage and Thin Lizzy. Some of the other groups were Killing Joke, Merciful Fate, and Budgie indeed. Queen, Bob Seger, Anti-Nowhere League, and Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Okay, that's enough. That is enough. Thoughts on Prince? To me, copyright abuse and overrated musician. The copyright shit I always thought was kind of weird about him. I do love his music, and think he was a great musician. But yeah. Goofy ass question, what's your take on belch talking? Don't. Favorite Mr. Big song? Mine is Colorado Bulldog. That is probably my favorite too. Either that or fuck, I always forget the title of this one. I know it's on Lean Into It. Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy, the Electric Drill song. That one is definitely up there. But yeah. True about Metallica being lazy with touring. James said, where the hell have you been? To the people seeing them live for the first time at the show me and Space Metal went to. Fuck, go away. Is it bad that I don't have a problem with ABCs with Metallica? I mean, I guess it can make for fun cringe material. But yeah. Watch your I Hate the Rock. It's Why I Hate the Rock is Dead video was pretty good. Yeah, that is one of my favorite videos that I made last year. What do you think, James? Your lazy sods hadn't played in their town in a number of years. Budgie is freaking awesome. They're pretty good from what I've heard. I think Michael Jackson is better than Prince because although he didn't play a million instruments like Prince, his songwriting won me over. That's fair. Since computers are making music now, where do you think music has left to go? Hasn't been a new genre in a while. I don't think I want to, pull a Rick Beato and blame computers. That kind of sounds like kind of a boomer take and whatnot. That is a good question. That is something I remember bringing up in the Why I Hate the Rock is Dead video is I think that there should be some experimentation to ensure that nothing gets stale and whatnot, because that would be a good way to, keep things evolving and progressing and whatnot, because I feel like that's what music needs to do and whatnot. Not even just metal, not even just rock, but it's something I would like pop music to do. It's something that could really stand to happen a lot. We've kind of seen that happen with country and with rap, but not really with anything else. But I don't think I want to, blame computers for that or anything like that. Do you consider AC/DC overrated? Yes. I don't hate them. I do like their music, but I do think that they get kind of, played out. I'm not saying the music is bad or anything, but yeah. Like, come on, Metallica. Sabaton from Sweden even goes to my state almost yearly. AC/DC is the Call of Duty of classic rock, I suppose. Thoughts on symphonic metal? It's not really a genre that I am super, super invested in, and by that I mean I only listen to a very kind of limited number of bands there. What do we got? Delane, Epica, Leaves Eyes, Nightwish, of course, Revamp, Rhapsody of Fire, Stardust, Seven Spires, Therion, Winter Sun, and Within Temptation are pretty much the only bands that I really have in there. Although you're not big on K-pop, any songs you like that aren't Gangnam Style? No. Gangnam Style is the only one that I really know by name. Thoughts on Symphony X and Dream Theater? Well, earlier in the stream, I was talking about how a show that me and Space Metal were originally going to be going to this May, we were originally going to be seeing Symphony X, and that ended up getting postponed. Dream Theater is one of my favorites in prog. Symphony X is pretty up there too. Heard of the Hurdy-Gurdy? I know that Rob Scallon has done a video about that. Thanks to my YouTube check, I bought almost all of Dream Theater's discography. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the albums do kind of vary and whatnot, but for the most part, I think they have a very good discography. Ad Infinitum Band, never heard of them. Favorite Dream Theater song? Easily. The Root of All Evil, the first track on Octavarium. And now, because I can, this is the only Dream Theater song I can kind of sort of play. Get the angle good. Let me move the microphone out of the way. Fucking love that song. Although, since you feel disappointed with Muse, it reminds me how disappointed I am from Todd in the Shadows, as he's becoming more SJW condescending and several. I've sort of seen hints of his political views make their way into videos of his, but not to a point where it really comes off like he's trying to sort of, shove the shit down our throats or anything like that. I still really enjoy Todd's content. He is someone that does keep me up to date with pop hits and whatnot. But I do know he's on the left. But yeah. Have you heard the Roddy Ricch, Alice in Chains mashup? Oh dear. Oh wow. The Box and Man in the Box. Okay. I'll make a mental note of that. Savatage, love them too. Another band that I kind of view as underrated, that not a lot of people really seem to talk about all that much. They're one of my favorite, 80s traditional metal prog bands. Hall of the Mountain King is an excellent album. Thoughts on Donovan? Don't know who that is. Kind of like my disappointment in UTF being a super rabid SJW. Yeah, Muse and UTF are basically the same person at this point. Any chance you know the tabs to Pull Me Under as well? No. Favorite EDM subgenres? I don't know. I like some Eurodance songs. But yeah, I don't really consider myself much of an electronic fan. I never did like Todd in the Shadows to begin with. I mean, I think he's a good reviewer. I'm the kind of person that doesn't like letting a person's politics ruin their content. I don't like when that happens. It just becomes an issue when, if they're being like Muse and being like more and more sort of vocal and uptight about it to a point where, it's kind of, aggravating people. And, that thread that I found of him, talking about, ranting and all that, that was pretty much, what did it for me. And I was like, all right, that's it. I need to really make my thoughts on this known. But, there are plenty of other, people I'm sub to that I know are more left-leaning than me that I'm not letting it affect their content. That's how I am with a lot of people. The same applies to Rock Critic, same applies to Spectrum Pulse, same applies to a number of others. What is your least favorite Alter Bridge song? This is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but one that I never really liked that much was Ghost of Days Gone By. I never really thought that song was that great. I kind of found it kind of slow going and kind of boring. What's with YouTubers and their obsession with someone's political views? I know, right? I've sort of learned to not care too much unless they're kind of going out of their way to shove it down everyone's throats. And people on the right do it too. It's not just people on the left that do that. But yeah. I feel like, in order to truly be nuanced, you need to, sort of not let the shit bother you too much. Like, you can disagree with it, but not let it push you to a point where it's like, I can't support this person anymore. I can't watch this person's videos anymore because their politics are just annoying me so much, or anything like that. Even with Muse, I still watch his content from time to time just to, see what he does, or if anything of interest kind of comes to my attention. But yeah. Mac or PC and why? I'm using a Mac right now. I've been using a Mac for a long period of time. I edit with Final Cut Pro and record audio with Logic Pro. I don't really care one way or another if you prefer PC or Mac, because to me it's just computers. Um, it's kind of like when, people debate about, console versus PC and whatnot. And, at the end of the day, it's just video games. Like what you want to like, use what you want to use. Um, then again, I speak as someone who's apolitical in this regard, and I don't know why people are obsessed with political views. I've noticed that too with a lot of people. And, one thing I've learned about politics is that it changes people. It makes people really angry, and that's why I try to stay out of as much politics as I can. Of course, there will be moments where, it kind of, veers in and whatnot, and I say something political, whether it be in a stream or in a video and whatnot. Of course, I've never been shy about, making videos on topics in the sort of, anti-SJW kind of realm and whatnot. I have a whole playlist about those videos. So it's always going to exist and whatnot, and there's only so much you can really do about it, but you can keep yourself from getting too into it, because, it fucks up your mood, and it'll get to a point where you kind of, alienate yourself from people, because that's what happened with Muse. It's what happened with UTF too. They got really into it to a point where they just ended up pushing people away because of it. PlayStation or Xbox. I'm not a gamer. I just know that console versus PC is something that gamers, debate about constantly. And I personally find that whole subject to be kind of as stupid as debating which metal genre is better. Because at the end of the day, it's, you're talking about, a subject, and, it's just, again, like what you want to like, I guess. What can make album versions better than live versions of songs? I suppose production sound, I guess, because I'm sure there are definitely, like, nuances that differentiate, a live sound from a studio sound and whatnot. Maybe these days it's a little more subtle, but they do exist. With album versions, another advantage is, you can is you have the advantage of going back to fix something. You can't really do that live. Though there have been one or two times where the band starts a song over. But that mostly had to do with there not being much of a crowd response, or they screwed a lyric up in the beginning. One time that happened was when I saw Stryper. They were playing... what were they playing? I think it was Reach Out, I think they were playing. And they started over because there wasn't much of a crowd response initially. And Sixth I saw do it too when I saw them. It was a spoken word thing. I forget which song it was, but he started that over. Politics make people angry and paranoid as hell. Exactly. That's why I try to just not really focus so much on it, because, I want to focus on stuff that makes me happy, because, I already deal with depression enough. There's already enough that makes me, depressed and stuff. The least I can do is not, focus on stuff that, will just make my mood worse. That's also why, if anybody follows my fan page at all, I posted this meme that let me find the image. Pictures, wow, and date. There it is. A Steven Crowder meme that I made, the whole change my mind meme that I made, that says, there is a direct correlation between the amount of drama you surround yourself with and your mood. You can't change my mind. And that's the reason I don't really follow much, like, YouTube drama as well. YouTube drama and politics, they both, bring your mood down. And so I'm making a point to just not surround myself with as much of that if I want to, have a good mood. Do you consider Drowning Pool a one-hit wonder with bodies? I guess. I don't know. Maybe they've had other singles and whatnot. Actually, they've definitely had other singles. That's the one they're best known for. I don't know. I don't really listen to very much Drowning Pool. Bodies is the only song I really care about really at all. I can actually play that on guitar too. Any frightening stories that occurred in your school back in your high school days? I'm not sure what frightening thing I can think of from high school, because high school is just a ways back. Politics makes one come up with crazy conspiracy theories like SJWs ruined this and ruined that. And the other side does the same thing too, Fucking, right wingers are ruined this and whatnot and all that. Like, come on. Speaking of Striper, have you heard of Theocracy? Yes. Focus on what makes you happy. Yep. Embroidery. Don't know what that is. Ugh. Excuse me. That meme is the only good thing about Steven Crowder. Agreed. I'm not a fan of Steven Crowder. I don't really care about him. Thoughts on Killswitch? I like him. They've never really made a bad album, in my opinion. I've always thought they had some really slick riffs. Sea of Tranquility's videos, never heard of him. He's into ranking albums. Sounds like something that could be up my alley, maybe. One time in my school, someone was busted for having a loaded firearm in his possession while on a bus. Now I'm remembering fucking something. Holy shit. There was one time when a dude in my grade, and I'm not joking about this, stepped on a landmine that apparently existed in one of the buildings. I had no idea what a landmine was doing there, but he had like a broken foot for a while because of that. He was threatening to kill a younger student with it for showing. Oh god, that is brutal. To quote South Park, if you follow YouTube drama, you're gonna have a bad time. Exactly. That ski instructor, Thumper, he is a wise man. Opinions on Blair White? I like her content a lot. Thoroughly enjoyed her videos on predators and whatnot. Anything having to do with predators and, weirdos in the trans community and all that. Thoughts on Arctic Monkeys? Not really too into them. That's another that's been bugging me lately. Conspiracy theories, get it, but people, you don't need to believe everything someone tells you. Yes, a landmine. He stepped on a fucking landmine. I didn't see this, but I heard about it and saw him in school the next day with crutches. It was weird. It was so out of nowhere. Thoughts on J-metal? Let me see all the Japanese metal I can think of. Loudness, X-Japan, Easy O, Maximum the Hormone. I know there's probably more. One OK Rock. They're not a metal band, but they're Japanese. They're probably my favorite band from Japan. Yeah. How the fuck is there a fucking landmine on the fucking school grass? I know. One time in my high school, someone wrote a bomb threat on the bathroom wall. Dude. Thankfully, the freak was arrested after being searched. Any anti-SJWs who stopped watching? Sargon, I stopped watching because I was just kind of getting bored with him. Because I was just getting kind of bored with his stuff. Who else? Mundane Matt you can throw in there too, because I know he's anti-SJW. Undoomed. Who else? I don't know. I don't know if this counts because he hasn't really been making videos, but that guy T, I'd throw in there. The only anti-SJWs I really watch nowadays is pretty much just Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head, Some Black Guy, Chris Raygun, Blair White, and Bearing. That's really it. Everyone else I either became kind of indifferent towards or bored with. I don't hate any of them, just not as interested in them. I've heard of Creepshow art. I watched one video of hers about the iDubbbz thing and thought that she sounded really whiny. Hammerfall, they're awesome. Definitely one of my favorites in power metal. I don't watch Power Rangers West Coast, so I don't know how I would answer that. Only reason I know about Maximum the Hormone is because they sung ending theme 1 for Akagi, which was a mahjong anime. I forget how Maximum the Hormone first came to my attention, but yeah. Favorite Rage Against the Machine song? Mine's are Know Your Enemy and Guerrilla Radio. Know Your Enemy is my favorite. Calm Like a Bomb is a very close second. And that's another thing I hope doesn't get fucking postponed is the Rage Against the Machine tour. Because I spent a lot of money on that ticket. There's a heavy metal anime called Detroit Metal City. I don't watch anime, so never heard of that. Who knows? That might actually be an anime that piques my interest, depending on, how do I say this? The things that have kind of turned me off of anime as a kid were not really being into fighting oriented shows and liking things to be in an episodic format so that way I can, get acquainted with the characters and their motivations more easily. So that's why I never really watched any anime when I was younger and didn't really feel much of a need to do so now, even if I have a lot of time on my hands that could theoretically be dedicated to it. My favorite 70s Scorpions songs, the only 70s stuff from Scorpions I like is pretty much just Love Drive. Love Drive to Face the Heat. Those are the albums that I am into from Scorpions. As for my favorite song from Love Drive, that would be Another Piece of Meat. Creepshow art sounds like she needs to just talk about art stuff and stay away from drama stuff. Most people should stay away from drama stuff. Do you think emo and scene is dead? Scene, yes. Emo, no. Actually, even then, I don't even say... actually, even then, I'm not even sure I'd say it's dead. It's just not really a thing much these days. But emo is definitely, still prevalent. There are a lot of, bands these days that make music within the emo kind of realm. One band that comes to mind is Foxing, Early November, and Hot Mulligan, and a number of others. I appreciate you guys trying to make anime recommendations, but I'm kind of firm with this. I'm not sure it's for me at all. Why is MySpace still around if nobody uses it anymore? I have no idea. Because Tom is your friend, unlike Mark Zuckerberg. Ever heard of Morrissey? Yes, and I don't like him. Anyone remember LimeWire? Yeah, it's another thing that I know of, but it wasn't really a thing by the time I first learned how to torrent music. I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but in my opinion, one of Scorpion's finest songs from the 70s would be the title track from Flight of the Rainbow. Not into comics or anime, what are you into? Just curious. As far as, like, movies and TV and whatnot, it's mostly comedy stuff, pretty much. Some science fiction movies, and, occasional, like, dramatic mystery, crime dramas here and there. It's not really stuff I watch on TV, though, because with TV it's mostly just, sitcoms and nostalgic bullshit. That's kind of how it is with me as far as that goes. But yeah, I'm one of those weirdos that just isn't really into the geek culture stuff. Despite, being friends with a lot of people that are really into it, it's just never really been my thing. Favorite Tupac song? Probably Changes. I don't know. Haven't really thought too much about that. Ever noticed there are albums that bands disown and they tend to still be pretty good? I've never understood that. That's actually... Something similar to that was actually an idea I had for a video once. And it might still be something I make into a video about bands that either disown their work or say that, oh, we're not going to play anything live from it anymore, and even go as far as, to even re-record an album. Like, I remember hearing about Census Fail wanting to re-record Let It Unfold You because they used some bad words there, guys. And it's like, come the fuck on. People can take the music for what it is and enjoy it for what it is. You might not like the stuff, and you're free to not like it, but it means something else to other people. Also, Metallica got into torrent streaming wars. Right, the whole Napster debacle. The thing that made them look greedy and all that. Ever watched Spaceballs? Yep. All that was a bit before my time. Never really got into it. It honestly took me a while to really watch any live action Nick shows and whatnot, because as a kid, I was under the belief that live action shows were too mature for me, that I wasn't part of the demographic for it. So it wouldn't be until I got into Drake and Josh that I would really, get rid of that. And, there's some Amanda Show bits that I remember finding really funny. Thoughts on Metallica's Load album? I know a certain someone that likes it. I don't really listen to, anything between and Justice and Death Magnetic. Do you think geek culture is on its way out? I have no idea. I don't think it is a thing that can just go away or anything like that. It's something that I think is always gonna exist. It's just not really something I identify with. The parental advisory thing started in the 80s, yeah, because of the whole PMRC thing. The whole PMRC trials are basically what resulted in the explicit warnings, parental advisory stickers being a thing. Do you think furries get too much hate? I think the concept of anthropomorphic animals can make some good stories like Zootopia. That's another movie I need to check out. But I'm not sure what exactly Zootopia has to do with furries, other than, it's animals and whatnot. I do think the furry community gets a lot of hate, and a lot of furries get generalized. I understand why people would be weirded out by it, and why some specific people in that community might be weirdos and whatnot. But then you got to remember that there are guys like Felix Wolf and Kaz Warfox that exist in that community, and they are rational and just all around swell people. Could you also say Spaceballs is one of the funniest films you watched? Yeah, I would say. Is Load worse than Lulu was? No. Don't think I'd go that far. As far as Metallica albums go, I don't think anything is worse than Lulu. I've heard good things about Zootopia. I just haven't really sat down. There's a number of... It's one of many movies that I just haven't really sat down to watch that I keep telling myself I should one of these days. Secret Life of Pets, I haven't heard as much good things about. It's basically like Toy Story with animals. So I've heard, Hair Metal Brony, so I've heard. Prepare to fast forward. To me, I imagine your persona being a meerkat. Really. It's interesting. So I'm basically Timon from Lion King. It'd be a good idea to take a day where I watch a movie. Yeah. Usually movies are sort of a thing that I do, like, when I'm not binging anything. I do still have my movie collection sitting right in front of me here that is in dire need of an update. There was a point in time where I was thinking of dedicating, like, an entire year to just watching every single one of those things. But yeah. Secret Life of Pets was also by the same guys that brought the Minions. Oh, wow. Illumination also ruined the Grinch and Lorax. Huh. Wow. This is the freaking Jim Carrey Grinch movie that we're talking about? Or are we talking about something different? Illumination. Filmography. Despicable Me, Hop, Lawrence. Okay, so the only Illumination movie I've actually seen is Despicable Me. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on System of a Down? Love them. They're swell. It's unfortunate that Serge doesn't really want to make music with them anymore. But they still play live together all the time. But yeah, all 5 of those albums I enjoy. I heard Jim Carrey wants to continue Ace Ventura with Ace Ventura 3. I think I heard something about that, too. I think if they want to make another Ace Ventura, he should save Rescue Dogs. Not a bad idea. Blind Guardian, another band I haven't really kept up with, but I know they have some very good material, such as Nightfall in Middle Earth and Twist and Myth and such. They're pretty awesome. Do you think Q&As are now rendered an obsolete form of videos for you since I'm doing live streams now? I don't want that to happen, but it kind of feels like that's happening. Another thing I'm kind of flirting with is turning Shade's shirt collection into a live stream thing. Who really knows? I'm still kind of, deciding how I feel about that. So, I don't know at this point. now's about time I'm gonna cut the stream because I've been going for almost 2 hours. So thanks for, chilling with me, giving me some stuff to talk about here, and I'll see you when I see you next. It's really up in the air. Really, anything's possible in these quarantine times as far as stuff I do here. But yeah. Thanks for hanging. Take care. Have a good rest of your evening. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.